Hello, I'm Lynn Onstot with the City of Joplin, and I'm host of Joplin Insider. This show is designed to give you a behind-the-scenes look at different departments within the city. Today, I'm honored to have one of Joplin's finest as our guest to talk about the police department, and today I'm introducing him as the Assistant Chief of the Police Department, Matt Stewart. But if you're watching this after March 2nd, you are the police chief, so congratulations.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Lynn.
Yes, that's very exciting. I've known you for a number of years, and I think you'll do great in that position.
Well,
so I'm probably going to swing a little bit before, about assistant chief and chief. So I don't know.
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, you've been in the public safety department for a number of years.
Yes.
When did you start at the City of Joplin?
I started at the city in January of 2000.
In what position?
I started as a patrol officer there, and after a few years worked my way up to a field training officer, which meant that when we hire a new officer, they go through a field training program, and so that was kind of the first step in supervision, was being able to train the new hires that we got. After I did that for a while, I tested for corporal, and then worked as a corporal there. And then during that time, I'd got on the SWAT team and worked on the SWAT team. That's probably one of the most fun, exciting assignments that I'd had.
Yeah.
And it was a good time, and I worked my way up on the SWAT team to eventually ending up as a team leader whenever I became a sergeant with the police department. I've been pretty fortunate to work in different areas of the department. Obviously, I began in patrol, which is where every officer starts out. And then by the time I'd worked up to sergeant, I spent some time as a training sergeant, which oversaw the training of the department, and then I spent a couple years as the internal affairs sergeant, and we kind of call them the principal of the police department.
I can imagine, right? Yeah. Watching over everybody.
Yes, making sure everybody's...
Did you use a ruler and wrap anybody's knuckles?
Well, not that I'll admit to, no. But that person is a very important part of our department, making sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, and unfortunately, whenever there's times that discipline has to be done, that's the one that does that. So, but I spent a couple years there, and then I went to our investigations bureau as a sergeant. Spent a couple years as the investigations bureau sergeant. That was a good time that was in there. A lot of exciting cases, and got to really see the differences between working in patrol versus working in detectives, and there is quite a bit of difference in there. But then I promoted shortly after the tornado to the position of lieutenant. Worked in our special enforcement bureau for a while, and that was really a busy time for our department because we had so many events everything that was going on after the tornado. And so that first year is kind of a whirlwind. So I don't really remember any specifics.
Quickly,
yes, it was a baptism by fire. Yes, it sure was.
Yeah.
But I spent a few time there, and then I eventually moved to our support services bureau, where I actually served as a PIO for the department and got to do a lot of media stuff.
A very highly acclaimed position, I will tell you.
Yes, exactly. As PIOs got to stick together.
You do have to know your stuff.
That's right. But then in January of 2015, I was promoted to the rank of assistant chief, and I've been serving in that since that time frame.
Yeah, and the promotion has just been recently announced, and so we're very excited. Of course, Jason Burns is a wonderful chief and retiring March 1st. So
we're excited for Chief Burns, and he was one of my FTOs when I was hired.
FTO meaning
field training officer. Yes,
okay.
he was one of my FTOs when I got hired.
That's nice. So he's kind of raised you.
Yes, and so every misstep I've had, I've blamed on him.
Yeah.
Because I said I was just doing what you trained me.
There you go. I like it. I need to find one of those.
Yes.
So, well, obviously, you were talking about all the different divisions that you've worked in. I know I didn't realize how many different divisions the police department had. I do know that you have a very active website, and I don't know, Bill, if you can pull that up. Once you get on the website, on the left-hand side, you see all the different divisions, and I'm sure you can recite them, but I kind of want to help our viewers understand a little bit more how the police department works and how you are divided. Can you go through that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, we are divided up into different bureaus and different divisions within the police department.
Yeah, there it is right there. You can see it.
Yeah, there you can see. Obviously, the police department is a very paramilitary type structure within the department. It's got a very delineated hierarchy and delineated supervision. And so really probably the most well-known division of our departments, our patrol division.
Right, visible.
Those are the guys out in uniform, driving the black and white cars that are taking the calls for service, doing traffic enforcement, stopping vehicles, and many times are the very first contact that the public has with our police department. And so they do an integral part being the face of the police department. And then another bureau that's kind of similar to the Patrol Bureau is our Special Enforcement Bureau. It's also a uniform division. That is where our traffic unit is, where we have 4 officers who are motorcycle officers that they get to ride around on the Harley-Davidson motorcycles.
Fun.
Yes, they enjoy that. Our crime-free and community policing unit is out of there, as well as our school resource officers.
Okay.
Work out of the Special Enforcement Bureau.
I'm going to stop right there because you mentioned community policing. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, community policing is really trying to get to the root of the problem.
Okay.
And basically what they do is if we have an issue where our patrol guys are continually going to the same neighborhood, same residence, same type of problem, they're able to take a little bit more time and really focus on what the root cause of the problem is. And then they work with the community members and with those that are in that area to try to actually solve the problem, so we don't just keep treating the symptom, but they're actually trying to look for the cause of the problem.
I would imagine that's kind of a long process, or can you
quickly at times it
it?
can be. I mean, really, community policing is a agency-wide goal. We preach pretty hard about customer service, about going the extra step and doing those extra little things that we need to do to take care of the issues. The benefit with the folks that are in our Special Enforcement Bureau is they have a little bit extra time that they can spend on it. They're not worried about that next call for service that's coming in or something else that's happening in the city.
Role.
They can really focus on those issues.
Well, one of the things, I mean, obviously, we cross-promote different things, and I know that you've done different classes for businesses of how to be more savvy about, crime prevention and things like that. Would that come under this division then?
Yes, our crime-free multi-housing unit and our crime-free business unit are both under that division. Yes.
Yeah, because I've talked to several business owners that have done that, and they find it, I find it interesting how many stores, and many people may not even, the height marker, as you leave, that, people, you can find out how tall you are at most stores here in Joplin, which is because of you. Thank you.
Yes, you just don't hope you're on a surveillance camera with them putting that out.
That is true. That is true. So, okay, so I interrupted you on the other divisions. You were talking about special enforcement. You also said SRO, school resource officers.
Correct.
So we work with the schools here in Joplin, and what kind of services are we providing?
Well, we have 4 officers that are our school resource officers. We have one that's at the high school, and then we have 3 others who are at the 3 middle schools within the city. The 3 in the middle schools, they also teach the Rise Above program. And basically what that is I think everybody's pretty familiar with the DARE program. And we looked at that several years ago and really found that the DARE program wasn't fitting the needs specifically of Joplin and the Joplin schools. And so our school resource officers took it upon themselves and created their own program so they could tailor fit it to the needs of the Joplin schools.
I did not realize that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a great job that they did. It was a lot of extra effort, and it wasn't really anything we asked them to do. They just decided to do it, and they renamed the program the Rise Above program.
Well, it makes sense with the Eagles. I know
exactly.
SOAR.
Yes, you're catching on.
Yeah,
yes.
Hey, I'm pretty quick.
But they teach that to 5th grade students throughout the Joplin schools. And they get to know the students there and really get to build upon those relationships.
So what, I would imagine drug prevention and crime prevention, things like that, things that, the influences as middle school and high school starts taking place, you start being exposed to a few more things that younger kids aren't.
Yeah, what they really focus on are making good decisions. Having good friends, and making sure you're doing the right thing. Those are really the 3 main things that they focus on. Because if you can get those things done...
We can teach that for adults, too, sometimes.
Yes, there are a lot of adults that need that. Yes.
We all need that reminder. Make good choices.
Yes.
So anyway, so the administrative side, that's the side that probably people don't realize. They think everyone's at a desk, but not necessarily. So
yeah, not always. Under our administrative side is our internal affairs, which we talked a little bit about, but also our training is under that, and that's a very important aspect of our department. We're required by state law to get so many hours of training each year, and there's a new law that's coming into effect that starts in 2017 that's really going to change how many hours we need to have and what categories those hours need to be in. So right now they're trying to work with that and make sure that we're going to be in line with that. But they give the training to our new hires whenever we get them out of the academy. And then they also do our continuing education training for the officers that have been there. So they've got a pretty busy job.
Well, since you mentioned training, I was going to ask later, but I'll bring this up now, is the Public Safety Training Center.
Yes.
I know we have the classroom component that we have a temporary site,
Yes.
in the former airport terminal area. But then we also just recently opened like the fire training tower.
Correct.
And then along with that, there's some obstacle courses. Is
Yes.
that how tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah, we just recently had a ribbon cutting for our training grounds, what we refer to as our training grounds.
Makes sense, yeah.
And in that is the burn tower that the fire department uses primarily. But we can also use that for building clearing. It's a multi-level building, and there's places where we can do entries. It also has an exterior entry for us, so we can practice moving upstairs and going to a second floor apartment complex. Also have the ability to rappel off the tower, so there's a lot of different things that we can use that for.
Yeah, that's very versatile.
Yes. And then we also have a obstacle course, a SWAT obstacle course that's there. And we'll use that for agility purposes, as well as running our SWAT members twice a year through that obstacle course, make sure they're staying fit and in shape. And then we have a canine obstacle course, and we'll use that for our canines so they can go out there, maintain their agility, and do some different work out there with that. And then probably the best thing we have for us is the driving pad. For years we used the Joplin Airport to get our training done. Well, then we had to move, and we were driving all the way to Carthage to get training done. Well, now we have something that's dedicated just for driving, and that's going to be a huge benefit for us.
So you basically set up different obstacles depending on what you're training for, whether it's speed or, again, turning.
Yeah, really, they can set up the whole course, and it does high-speed driving, quick maneuvers, as well as backing, slow speed but tight turns. There's a lot of different things it can do.
Well, I know when we were out there doing the ribbon cutting, I saw a couple demonstrations, and it's pretty impressive.
Yes.
You guys know how to drive. You don't just jump in a car. You got to know what you're doing.
They spend a lot of time behind the wheel getting to learn how to drive that car.
And you've changed which vehicle? Wasn't it always the
Yeah, we had the Crown Vic for a long time, but then Ford quit making it, and so now we've got the Ford SUVs, and they are different than what the Crown Vic is.
Yeah. Now, are they all SUVs, or
we kind of get a mixture right now of the Ford cars. We got a few Crown Vics left, mostly supervisor vehicles, but the frontline cars are now the cars. I'm just drawing a blank on what they're actually called.
We'll come back to it. Yeah.
But they're SUVs. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty interesting, because you have to change with the market, I guess.
Correct.
And I'm sure those companies know what they're designing for police officers.
Right. That's the nice thing about those. They are really designed for the police departments.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Well, what other things we talked about? Internal affairs training, investigations. Of course, it kind of sounds very self-explanatory, but what else goes on in the investigations?
Well, they do a lot of different things, and there's a lot that goes on in our investigations bureau. They're going to investigate mostly any crime that patrol's not able to solve right then when they're taking the report. Mostly what they deal on are felony crimes, anywhere from a stealing to a felony assault. And speaking on that, our detectives are kind of broken up in 2 or 3 different groups.
Okay.
We have a group that do nothing but persons crimes. Okay. And so they're doing the rapes, child molestation, felony assaults, and then homicides.
Okay.
Our property unit, they work on forgeries, frauds, felony theft, felony property damage, crimes like that.
Cybercrime?
Well, the cyber crimes is in our kind of a branch of our special investigations part. Okay. And we do have 2 officers that are assigned to our cyber crimes unit, and what they focus on are internet crimes against children. And what their focus is unfortunately there are people out there who are either sharing pictures of kids that are either being sexually abused or just sharing inappropriate pictures, and that's what they're out there looking for those. We also have some that are on the Ozarks Drug Enforcement Task Force that work there. We have 2 that are an FBI task force officer, and so they work hand in hand with the FBI. We have one
because we have active cases in this city.
Yep, there are active federal cases that are in the city.
Most times, yeah.
We have one that's carries an ATF commission, and a couple others that carry U.S. Marshals Commission, and then a couple that carry an ICE, which is Immigration's Custom Enforcement. So they're pretty active. We work really hand in hand with our federal partners as well as other agencies around us.
So, your officers really need to be specialized depending on which role that they are working,
Right.
they have to have specific training.
That is correct. Yeah, once they go to detectives, depending upon what kind of categories they're working, we try to get them specialized training for those categories.
It's pretty interesting. Kind of scary that we have to have all these. But
it is unfortunate we have to have it, but I think the city's very fortunate that we have the ability to do all those different things.
Right. Well, and our crime rate pretty much has been going down for the most part, isn't that right? What do you attribute that to?
Well, really, it's a number of things. I mean, there are some things where crime is just going to have its ebbs and flows, you know, depending upon how the economy is, how things are going. Probably one of the biggest impacts we've had is in our community policing efforts, working with our businesses, working with our apartment complexes, you know, working with those that maybe in a high crime area. We try to go in and work with our community and try to figure out ways to reduce that crime.
Because we're located along I-44, does that raise the risk for us, or is there anything that, you know, a city of our size does differently because of that?
Yeah, well, I don't know it necessarily raises the risk, but it does bring some unique challenges.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of people that are passing through Joplin. We have had times where we had somebody that stopped through that was coming from California back to New York City, and they stopped at a hotel and come to find out he'd kidnapped a female, and they were in a hotel room, and she's able to escape and contact us, and he was wanted out of
I do
New York.
remember that, yeah.
So you do get those unique calls
So you're working
just
with,
because of the interstate.
obviously, I mean, you know, I know at all times you can work with all agencies across the country and the world if need be, but because of that, yeah, you probably have to have a lot of good contacts.
Yeah, it does bring some transient issues with that of people that are just passing through that are traveling.
Well, and talking about, you know, working all these different divisions and working, how do, you know, and starting to get into the department, you said they start off at patrol. How does someone, you know, say a young man or young woman wants to become a police officer? Is there a certain age limit, and how do they go about it?
Well, yeah, the age limit is they have to be at least 20 before they can even apply.
Okay.
Now they have to be 21 before they're able to obtain their certification from the state and get a commission through the police department. And so the first step is to obviously fill out an application down at the city and to get that done. One of the unique things, one of the fortunate things that we have is that we will actually pay for somebody's police academy to go through here at Missouri Southern. They can either go on their own, or if they don't have the police academy, they can go and apply with us, and then we will pay for the academy and then pay them a salary while they're in the police academy.
Okay. Now, by doing so, are they committed to the city for a certain number of years, or can they go wherever they want to?
Well, both.
Okay. Yeah.
There is a commitment.
Yes.
We ask for a 3-year commitment from if we pay for the academy. Obviously, they're free to leave if they choose. However, what they do is they take the cost of the academy, prorate it over the amount of time they've been here, and then they have to pay that part back.
Right. Well, that just makes sense. But that way they can get to know police office work, you know, police work, and hopefully they like it here in Joplin.
Yeah, that's what we hope, is that they like it and they stay here.
Yeah, I'm not originally from here, but I love it here. So it's a big small town is the way I look at it. So, well, so how many employees are in the department?
Well, we have 112 sworn officers in our police department. That's what we're authorized for.
How many do we have? I mean, aren't we a little?
Yeah, we're down right now. We've got 11 openings in our department.
Hear that? Are you looking for a job?
If you're looking for a job, there's a place to come. We have 11 openings, then we have another 10 that are either in the police academy or going through that field training officer program. So we're down about 20, 21 positions that aren't filled throughout the department.
That's quite a few
then.
then.
So there's plenty of opportunity if somebody's looking into law enforcement. It is a great place to work. We're just kind of hitting one of those times where we're down quite a bit.
Now, obviously, there is some clerical work and some office work. You have some on the administration side. How many? I mean, I know a lot of the people that help me when I get the calls or have questions. They're always very helpful. So
yeah, we have a little over 50. We got a total of 165 employees, counting our civilians. And that includes our record staff, the clerks that work in detectives and for the chief, and that also includes our jail and our dispatch.
Oh, that's right. Jail and dispatch.
Yes.
2 areas, like incoming and outgoing, so to speak. Or I don't know which one's out.
The beginning and the end sometimes.
Yeah, I guess so. So So dispatch. So you guys are a part. I mean, obviously dispatch is a part of you.
Mm-hmm.
So did you have to go through training for that as well as chief? Do you have to know all your divisions? And
no, really, that's just something. It's more like on-the-job training where I've learned. I don't know all the ins and outs of the dispatch center, but that's why we've got people there that know that kind of stuff.
Sunny Goodwin does a great job.
Yes, we've got Sunny in there, and she keeps things going in there, and she knows everything there is to know about it, and so she's the one that keeps that going.
Yeah, and I know that's kind of a position that kind of turns over sometimes because it is high stress.
It is a very high stress position. It's a position that really a lot of people don't know much about.
Again, it's kind of behind the scenes.
Yes, it's behind the scenes, and it can be stressful because you're on the phone and you're, obviously we always say people don't call us when everything's rosy and going great in their lives. They call us when there's something bad going on.
Yeah.
And so, they get them on the phone and they don't get to see them face to face. They're having to talk to them over the phone, trying to calm them down, trying to get the information that we need and then get that information out to us so we can get going on that call.
We might just visit that real quickly. When we are stressed and we're, having trouble and issues, what kind of information do we need to have top of mind?
Well, one of the very first things is that they're going to ask for is what exactly is going on. Because they need to know, does it need to be a police officer coming? Does it need to be a fire truck? Does it need to be an ambulance? What exactly is going on? And then the next piece they're going to need is where is it going on? And obviously, if they're calling 911 from their home, we have the E911, and so their address automatically pops up on their screen, and they know exactly where that phone call is coming from. The more difficult part is when somebody's on their cell phone,
which is getting to be more common.
Yeah, absolutely. After a little bit of time, we can get a general area where that call is coming from, but we don't obviously know exactly where that's coming from. So that's one of the things they need.
Top of, kind of pay attention to your surroundings and know where you are.
Correct.
Okay.
And a lot of people, they don't even have a home phone anymore.
Yeah.
And so even if they're calling their cell phone from their home, they still need to kind of stay on the line and make sure they tell them where they are.
Well, one of the things that I did when, when the kids were little, I put on the bulletin board, where we have by the phone our address and our phone number in case, you get panicked and you can't think. You can just read it then. And so those are the simple steps that I probably learned in a class somewhere along the line of simple stuff.
Yes, so. always good to try to keep it simple. And that's a good thing to talk with your kids about is making sure they know their address, make sure they know where they live, and really know when to call 911. Know that it's not something to play with. It's not something you just call haphazardly, but there are certain instances where they need to do that, and it's important to have those conversations.
Well, I'm always impressed if someone accidentally calls 911 or does it. They shouldn't be doing it as a joke, but you guys call them right back.
Yes, because you never know if it could be somebody who's in trouble, they can't get to a phone, and the only thing they're able to do is call 911 but aren't able to talk on the phone. So anytime we get a 911 call, we're always going to try to call back and really assess what the problem is. Was it an accident or is there really something going on there?
Right. Yeah, I had a lady call me yesterday and said, I accidentally called it, what do I do? And I said, they'll be calling you back.
Yes.
So I actually put her through. So, we talked, I'm kind of bouncing around, but going back to the divisions, obviously with all these divisions, they have to interact. So how does that happen? How do you guys share your information? And
well, we began about 8 months ago with a new initiative for us called intelligence-led policing. And really the premise behind that is making sure that everybody has the information they need to do their job. In the past, there may be information that somebody gets and they want to hang on to that information and do something with it as opposed to passing it along. And so one of the things we've done is through our crime analysis unit, they do a daily bulletin. And basically it's a recap of all the big things that have happened, throughout the previous day or over the weekend. And then we share that information with all the surrounding agencies around us, because a lot of times we're dealing with the same people that they are, just in a different location.
Yeah, again, big, small town.
And so we share that information with them. And then we also have our patrol supervisors. They do an end-of-shift brief, and they just kind of go over whatever they did, and that's sent out to all the supervisors so everybody's on the same page and knows what's going on.
Yeah, that if there was an incident at certain houses or whatever. So what are the hours for a patrol officer? Do they work a 9 to 5 shift, or is it a 12-hour day?
It depends. Because patrol's a 24-hour day, 7-day-a-week operation. They don't...
I know when I write down the city is closed, I always say except for public safety.
Yes, when you're working in patrol, holidays don't really mean much to you.
And we thank you. We thank you for that.
Well, we appreciate it.
Yes.
We appreciate it. But yeah, our guys work 4 10-hour shifts. And so they work for 4 days in a row, working 10-hour shifts each, and then they work in teams.
Okay.
And so it's the same group of folks working together for each shift.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, it is.
I know that's the way the fire departments do with their stations and such, because you know your partner and such like that.
Right.
So do you guys ride like 2 in a car? You know, a lot of the shows on television show the partners and all of that. So
well, right now
obviously,
we're down, so we're trying to spread them out as best we can.
I guess. Yeah, exactly.
But you know, when we are full staff, there is some opportunities to do some 2-man car stuff, and so they try to do that when they can. But as a matter of practice, it's usually a one person car.
Oh, okay. Yes. Well, if people want to, I mean, they may not be going through the academy, but they want to get involved, they want to volunteer, how would they do that?
Well, we have a couple different ways, depending on your age. If you're under 18, we have what's called our Explorer program.
Okay.
And that is for high school age kids, and it's associated with the Boy Scout program.
Okay.
And so they come in, and they've got their own uniforms, they have their own rank structure, and they come in and kind of learn how to be a police officer, how to do reports, how to do vehicle stops, things like that. For our adults, we have what's called a Sentinel program. In order to become a Sentinel, you got to go through the Citizens Police Academy. Okay. We offer the CPA 2 times a year, in the spring and in the fall. And in fact, our spring is getting ready to start tonight.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's a 12-week program. It's free of charge. It's 1 night a week for 12 weeks. And they learn all the different aspects of the police department, all the way from doing car stops, DWI enforcement, to crime scene investigation, to the canines, to SWAT. We cover everything.
Pretty interesting stuff.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, they learn what we do, but the most important thing is they learn why we do what we do. Because that's often the big question is, why did the police department do whatever? Right. And that helps answer a lot of those.
Sure, sure. Well, I know that you guys are very interactive. You know, like you said, the patrol officers are the face of the department, but yet I know you interact with the public. What other, you know, I know you have the Citizens Police Academy, we just talked, and then the Citizens Advisory Board that you can volunteer to do.
Yep, we've got a group of citizens that we meet with monthly, and you know, we just kind of bounce ideas off of them. We discuss things that are going on, and they kind of give us some ideas that are different than what we're looking at from the police department, and it's just great to have them as a good resource.
There's eyes and ears, yeah.
Exactly.
So social media, does Joplin Police do social media?
Absolutely. Yep, we've had Facebook for quite a while.
Okay.
And,
so go out there and like them and get to know your Joplin Police Department.
That's right. We've got over 12,000 likes,
awesome.
And so
awesome.
I think
it's up there. Look at that.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so I think we may be closing in on how many the city has. We may overtake you here someday. But yeah, we're on Facebook, pretty active there. We're also on Twitter. And that's at Joplin PD is our Twitter handle. Okay. We're working on an Instagram account, LinkedIn, a YouTube channel.
Don't get too far ahead because I don't have all those officers helping me. Yeah, so that's great. We're looking to expand ours too. But yeah, well, that's great. Well, we're getting ready to wrap up, but I want to give you an opportunity. Are there other areas that I haven't covered that you'd like to mention today? Or?
Well, like I said, we're testing here soon, and we're usually testing throughout the year. And so if people will follow our Facebook page or our Twitter handle, we will put those testing times out there if they're interested in that. Currently, right now, we've got a survey that's out there. We like to put a survey out to our community to see how we're doing. And so they can go to our Facebook or our website and they can get a link to that survey.
That's good. Sounds like you're very interactive. Well, I do appreciate your time. Again, congratulations on your promotion.
Appreciate it.
Assistant Chief will depend, you know, we'll do that kind of backslash thing for a while. So, but again, I'm really, really, really happy for you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Well, and that concludes our program with the police department, but I do want to thank you for watching, and if you have any questions about the police department or other areas in the city, please give me a call at the city. It's Lynn Onstot, Joplin Insider. Thank you.